Running a few things down. Hopefully, I get everything that I'm trying to get to. Just my passing thoughts. I mean, to me, I honestly, I think like Boris Johnson. I was watching him. UK. I mean, he's very down to earth. It basically summed it up in like, I got shaving cream right there. Is that shaving cream? That's light. Anyways, he summed it up like this is madness, and it is. I mean, the loss of life would be crazy. For what, Like, for the borders probably to just be redrawn decades again, exactly where they're at. But I'm gonna start it off of why, we all have our own agenda. So I guess we all wanna state who we are. We want to overcomplicate this, like what this is about: land, power, and money, and we want to get into the details, I guess, for it to make sense to us. But that's what it's about. It's about land, power, and money. We all have our own agendas, I'm talking about. We want to use what we think about it to our own means. And then I started thinking about what do I want this to be, and maybe to get my own words out to the public. And I was like, maybe I could fill in some blanks, but possibly maybe I'm making more blanks, more questions, right? But my take on this is that I'm like everybody else. I have a brain. Some people thought I was gifted. Some people think just the opposite and feel the need to state that I am not. And some people feel the state to correct and state that I am. The truth is probably both those, and sometimes we all have this ability to discern things, at times. So I want to state that, I'm capable. But I guess monetarily, I would like to be surrounded by crypto experts if this has any kind of benefit. So I'll start with that, the very um, non-altruistic, what I get from it, so I could be as honest as possible from it. Because I think if I could put everything on the table, it lends more weight to it, to tell you the truth, because what this is, if this does go through, this is nothing more than an armed robbery of Ukraine. It's a little bit more than a glorified um, medieval Viking raid, the Kelvin Rus. It's going to come in there. They're going to take what they can and hold it for as long as they can, and probably get pushed out and see what they could grab. That's what I basically think it is. It's the glorified robbery. I mean, that's just put it in a nutshell. I mean, he's a little bit more than a mob boss, Putin. So, I mean, I'll try to be direct. I don't want to try, be down to earth as possible. That's how I speak. Something, I don't want to have people read between the lines and shit like that. I mean, it's probably, I mean, we could get into the weeds and split hairs about, is his decision certain? I mean, is anybody's decision certain? I mean, is 80% you're going to do this, is he's going to go? But then again, it's all psychological nonsense. More than likely he's going to go. He's going to go. He's going to say he's going to go. You know what I mean? So, but I bet he's like he has to be second guessing. You know what I mean? Like, is this smart? No, it isn't. It just is not a good thing. I'm talking about. It's based probably on Trump's going to get re-election and the disunity that we wouldn't be fully committed against Ukraine. Someone's like, it's already set in motion, and let's go through with it. He didn't expect, Biden to be president and formulate a very conservative defense of Ukraine, and I'm pretty sure a lot of that is at play too. But that's just me. My notes is actually all over the place, so I'm going to be skipping all over the place. I just found room where I could write down, and it's basically how it's going to go. But let's see. So you're gonna have to piece it together as I go along. So we will start with, because you come up with these ideas and these thinking, and you just want to make sure it gets out there. But I think like in this new age or this current age, or we don't want to reinvent the wheel because this is constant. You could look at like whenever the first recorded battle or whatever, with the Hittites and the Egyptians. It's just like, I mean, just certain elements are there. They both realize this is some crazy shit. Because they both just went out after the baggage train. But even the Diadochi or whatever, and those battles, you see the same thing. All this, the more information we have, the more written word we have throughout, the Roman Empire, you see all these different things that play in these certain tactics. These uncomfortable, not just war, but in between war. And so we always want to like war and peace, you know. But it's not always like that. We have to be comfortable in that uncomfortable position between war and peace, and be very active and engaged into it. I think I'll start off with stating that. So we'll check that off. I mean, they think we're so different, we just can't. And I think what's happening now with this Black Ops, or not Black Ops, I want to give these cool terms to make us seem like all important and everything. But with these black flags, and like especially in American psyche, this is like very hard. I mean, this is another tactic that goes way back too, but it's very in our mindset because the Nazis did that with Poland. They staged, the political ultra loyalist SS went over in Poland and killed a bunch of Warmack and attacked, did all these black ops. So it's in our psyche now, especially with neo-Nazism and in American, society, because it leans a little bit towards that. So these terms are more rarely in our populace and especially in our intelligence, where we still have some Nazism and everything. So it's very prevalent, so we're very aware of these things, and they never went away, because we always view the other side as being less than us, Untermenschen, less than human. So it's okay to fool them, confuse them. They deserve to be fooled or whatever. So Russians to the Kevin to the Ukrainians, they're like, okay, well, we could fool them. We could do all these black ops and everything. And, you know, that's just how it is. It's very arrogant. And we always think that it's a problem. Instead of thinking we're equal, we need to say it's okay to fool these people. So this is very common. That's the source of confrontation. And but it's just so confusion, obviously. But we're aware of it, thankfully, especially with the rise of Nazism. So it's really commonplace, and we're almost inoculated to it because it happens so common, like at an interpersonal level and at the international level. But the thing is about these black flag operations that we understand that to us as Americans, it's not fooling us, but like a lot of people said, it's to fool Russians. I think if I could just get into weeds just a little bit, it's not just to fool the Donetsk and the I can't really whatever region is above that, those two regions. It's that culturally, and you could give a range with inside Ukraine, that region right there, the Russian, more Russian speaking, the dialect more Russian culturally than Ukraine, because as you move in towards Ukraine to Lviv and the Polish side, it's more Ukrainian or whatever. And so it's sort of to confuse them and to jostle them up and to jostle the more Ukrainians to create um, I want to say division, but sort of like confusion, just unsettling, maybe to shake them up just a little bit, to, when they come in to shake up their defenses, their resolve to defend, that kind of thing also. So it's not to us, but to some degree, and you can't really put a number on it. I mean, because that'll propagate out because they'll convince actual Ukrainians more patriotic Ukrainians. So you got to be aware of that. So that patriotic Ukrainians needs to actually be influenced onto those more Russian as Ukrainians, because you can't really put a number on it. It's like saying, you know, they're Ukrainian, but how much are they Russian? And it's gonna go inwards towards that. Since you can't really, and it's just whatever they could do. They're just throwing whatever is at the wall, and like, seeing what happens. And, it's sort of like what I think he's doing now. It's like he's putting up everything to get Ukraine back and seeing, hopefully it works. Invasion works, and so be it. I'm talking about, but this is my thinking. It's just like I think it's just the craziest thing to invade. You know what I mean? That's why I'm like, when you says, we're definitely gonna invade, I was like, all right, I'm all right. I definitely think that's going to happen. But there's a huge part of me saying like, it's got to be reason. Like this region has to prevail. You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck are you doing? You know what I mean? It's like, so it's just me. Um, so that's what we're trying to convince. Not in the Russian controlled areas, but just as that like almost gradated inward towards Ukraine, just whatever he can do. So someone would be like, oh, this, um, they get blasted with information and things are moving so quickly or whatever, and they just look at it and they're like, oh, that's what's happening. So I think like communication needs to be kept up no matter what, because he's going to try to break down communication as much as possible. That's what I was thinking of, because I was like, because I remember growing up in Jersey, people would say things, and all my friends would just sort of laugh. And it wasn't until I left that some of those things took hold. I don't know, just how I look, and and they try to walk that into you, like that's who you are. I'm like, no. Anyways, but you look at like Switzerland, that very aggressive neutrality. Not like Sweden. Sweden's like neutral. Switzerland's like this more, like I said, in the center of Europe, and very from World War II. Very, don't fuck with us. And my grand step grandfather was Swiss, and I'm not saying I know Swiss, but he's like this cross between like attention to detail and this like stern resolve, that kind of brilliance. But and then to know about Swiss when you grow up, you learn a little bit more how determined they are. But my thinking is like, if it does happen, you gotta be like the Swiss. You gotta be committed as soon as it happens. I mean, there can be no doubt that you're willing to, you're gonna give it everything. Like that's what Swiss did in World War One. Anything violated their territory, anything they shot at it. They just didn't go fuck. You're not entering it. We don't care. We're already here. What I'm saying? We'll blow every fucking bridge coming into Switzerland. It's all wired. I mean, they took down the wiring to all the Swiss bridges, but it's what like Ukrainians need to do. That's that kind of resolve. Like anything to slow down the Russians, wire the bridges, get ready to blow them. I'm talking about. I mean, you got to attack them before they're ready to do damage, before they're ready to fight, before they raid and whatever battle formation, whatever you call it, whatever those tactics are. And if you stop them at the rivers, then you create a bottleneck, and then if they're clustered right there, then you can attack them, and you attack them before they get to the cities. I mean, they're already committed as soon as they cross the border, so you got to hit them hard. I mean, and we're, what I'm saying, it's just like before they fight. So, before they could hit you, you know what I'm saying? So that's the whole deal, you know what I mean? So that's just how it is. That's my thinking. I mean, before they were intended to kill people, to destroy the very country they supposedly care so much they care about. So you got to kill them in the open. Like the Battle of Kursk, there's a lot of, you want to sort of have that kind of damage, you know what I'm saying? I mean, the Kursk salient, that's just something that's popped into my head, that region is seeing a lot of armor destroyed, you know what I'm saying? So it's just, that's what I was thinking about. Like, do you want to get into a tank on tank battle like that? No, it's going to be an air battle. I mean, you want to have air superiority, but it's just like if you have a tank, I don't see that. Um, but I could see masses of tanks, being destroyed by like an A-10. A few passes with an A-10 will absolutely obliterate them. We have new A-10s coming out. We could loan give them a few A-10s, and done, if we cluster up, wherever they're bottlenecked or whatever, before they could even enter the cities. But that's the other part where I'm kind of concerned about is this unconventional stuff that people keep talking about. Have they already entered the cities? Have they not? If you get big masses of troops obliterated with A-10s, whatever ordnance, whatever, what have you stop people coming in through buses, taxis, and everything that may already be there and everything? How do you tell them apart? It's just like this unknown. You just can't really tell, right? And how do you really defend about it, And whatever tactics and methods, they use, and they already said they're going to go out to these places. I mean, obviously it's to decapitate and the Ukrainian government, but it's also to, I guess it's one and the same, is to make it seem like they already have a total collapse very quickly to kill the resolve of the Ukrainians, right? So how do you really, push back against that? You just know what they're trying to do. The overall objective is conquer Ukraine, obviously. So you reverse it on that end and you work down to the detail because you get caught up in the details, I mean, it'll just change on you, right? So, I mean, it just has to be very, very adaptive, but know that's going to be utilized at these unconventional people, whatever they do, that it's here's the battle, but here it's already in the city and you're already fighting in the city, so you got to fight like these two wars, the populace has to fight, and like maybe a battle line or something that simulate that is akin to a battle line. I have no idea, so you got these multiple things going on, so you got to have all these balls up in the air and you're juggling it, right? And but it's always to, you know it's to do that, it's to get land, money, and power, I'm talking about. And so you got these elements in here trying to take Ukraine, take care of it. So what? They're unconventional. So what? They're Spetsnaz. Take that out of it. You could handle it. There's still people. You could take, just, I'm talking about? At the end of the day, it's your country. Who wants it more? You do. Make them know that. You know what I mean? So, but good communication always needs to be kept up. But, that's my thinking about that. Like people over, spec stops and this, that, and like it can't be stopped. It can be stopped. You know what I'm talking about? It's like it's just a psychological break about who's better and whatever. That's what they're trying to do. Stop what they're trying to do. I mean, but be concerned about it, be adaptive. You know what I'm talking about? So that's that's just my thinking. You know what I mean? Just, I mean, I think that's the whole thing. Is this mentality? It's like we are so arrogant about people. Like, you know, and we could do these things to these people, and it's okay to do these things, and that creates the conflict. And the same thing with that. Um, But just realize if there's stuff happening in the rear, you could take care of it. Make sure you tend to it and take care of it. Don't put on these like um, things, these psychological barriers that you can't, oh, they're spec ops. Yeah, they're spec ops. Attend to it. You could take care of it. Tom, don't think you can't. The more you think better and talented they are, the more you need to take care of it or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But you could always take care of this. Don't think you can't. I'm just saying, just don't let it, slide or whatever. But never think you can't deal with it. I mean, anything, that you can't accomplish it. But that just goes to, um, how I feel about certain things. Like you as a person, if you could just accomplish anything, and it's just a source of conflict or whatever when you have these diversions of who you are above people, whatever. And I have a lot of respect um, of talented people, whatever, talk about. And I know Hawaii sort of does not because they're very isolated or whatever here. So I just want to make sure that, that I express that. But I don't want to really, it's just something I'm very concerned about. I just don't know. It has to be very adaptive. But I'm going off on a little bit of tangent. Now, getting back to how we feel about people and the source of conflict, I think they don't think Ukrainians are going to give resistance. And it's very naive of Russia. And they feel like they could just overwhelm them, they could just conquer them, and just do whatever and make an armed robbery of them. So they don't expect to meet resistance. I think it's very imperative to hit them hard as soon as they fight. I'm talking about, that's just my opinion. I'm talking about, I don't know what the best tactics are, but as soon as they are committed, you need to be fully committed. I'm talking about, there's nothing you can do about it. You can't talk a bullet at it coming out of the that's right here. It's already there. I mean, you gotta shoot back. And I think that's the best time to attack them again. When they're not ready. I'm talking about, you reverse the tables on them before they have the numbers. It's 100,000, 200,000. Let's say 250,000. Numbers always is going between 150, 200,000. Let's say 250 is just to be conservative, ballpark figure, right? So I mean, I'm just saying that because I just hear a lot of numbers and I hear like a lot of generals stating this, or child generals like me, stating this, and so I don't know what the exact number is, but so this up the number just a little bit to 250. But one of the numbers I did hear I was kind of concerned about was an entrenched number, I think. And the thing about it is, it's like here's Russia come to attack one of our countries. It's not NATO, but it's a democracy. And like, what are you doing? What I'm getting at is that we have a lot of brilliant minds, and Russia has the totality of what's in their country, and we have all of our generals, all NATO, all these brilliant people working this problem. Like, what are you doing? I'm talking about. It doesn't make any sense to me. It's like, all right, you playing chess with people who are like this absolutely is this beyond reason to me. It's like, are you crazy? The thing is, like, you think like being ultra aggressive is enough and carry the day. I get that, but it's just like we have more stuff. We have more intellectual capability. I mean, this not. I'm not talking about intelligence. I'm just talking about pure tactical ability or brilliant mind. It doesn't like what the president said defies fucking logic. It's just I don't get it, man. That's just. Now this I wanted to see it. Like I get it. You're not pushing anybody. I want Ukraine to grab your fucking face and shove you out of the fucking way, man. Because it's going to be more than likely economically more powerful country than Russia pretty soon. And I think that's what Putin sort of kind of knows. I don't know how quickly that's going to happen, but I see that happening. Like the Baltic states are quickly, their economies built up, and I could see that mirrored, and was starting to mirror in Ukraine because it, it wasn't really a stable democracy till, and it still isn't because half of it was invaded or whatever. So even at, a sort of a semi-truncated state, it's still building a strong economy. If it was just fully united and didn't have to worry about all this other bullshit, and the economy just would just absolutely will be like a powerhouse. That would be, I don't know. That's my thinking. And I think Polish economy will start to grow too. Actually, it's that's another one. The Belarus right there is sort of like uh hinders Poland a little bit. But I don't know. That's another issue. But I definitely, it's right there, and I don't know. But I think like the pipelines is probably the big concern because that's, they're almost like all that dependent on that oil. But if they just make the hard decision just to go through a pipeline through the Black Sea into Ukraine, bypass it, where they're not dependent on Russian oil. I don't know what that looks like, but if they need to not anyway have any kind of like reliance on them. So in that aspect, they have to outbuild them. So you cut the lines. Okay, we'll get the lines that are in the Black Sea. You know, I guess I want to end it with this is not Georgia. But I want to state that Ukrainians are not Georgia. A lot bigger, a lot more resources, a lot more men, a lot more land to go across. It's not traversing like all of Russia, but it's still a lot of open spaces. And so I could see a lot of different dynamics happening. But then again, as they were coming into Georgia, they came out of a tunnel and they were just being hit. And I could see that happening with a lot of Russian, armor and vehicles, because it hopefully it'd be nice if we had A-10s, but it's not a perfect world, whatever. We could achieve air superiority, or Ukraine could achieve air superiority through them. And what can we give them? You know what I mean? So is that reality? I don't know, but it had to be like a tiered defensive armor, right? So hit them hard where they're grouped up, bloody them really fucking hard, before it really becomes a problem. Make them think again that this is a bad fucking idea before they hit population areas. And that's the whole thing. Like, they're setting up, and those field hospitals and all that stuff, we should be already doing the same. Um, and I guess hopefully Europe will give blood to them and take as much as important off them as possible because I could see like refugees are already evacuating them, and I think that'll clog up roads as we put people forward or whatever to meet whatever threat that is. So we want to pull people out. And I was thinking if we're just pulling people out, it's just like, how are you gonna do that? Like buses, taxis, whatever vehicle can move. You pull people out, but you want to push people out. So you have like this constant flowing of people and material. You bringing wounded out, bringing fresh troops in there, bringing material in there. So you have this like cycle, sort of like in the beginning of Rome, and in the HBO, Roman Legion. Like how they fight. They fight at the front until 2 minutes, 3 minutes, whatever it is, 5 minutes, so they don't swing themselves out. You keep hitting your sword from everything you got, all your power you got, this, getting, killing as much as you can. And, the Centurion, it blows his whistle, rotate, push forward, boom. So you got to keep freshing, that kind of thing. Like the main thing is you just constantly push people to the front, like faster than the Ukrainians, I mean, faster than Russians to do that. That way, you're not just constantly having refugees come out or whatever, and or whatever else like that. I don't know, because you see in World War II, as everything started to, as Blitzkrieg happened, they used the populace as a weapon, as flogging down things, as pushing and creating burdens or whatever. So you make sure refugees are not a burden, they're an asset, you know what I mean? So you reverse it, like they're creating defenses, kicking into the war effort or whatever, whatever it is, I'm talking about. So, and that's sort of like a mindset, it's like we're not helpless, we're contributing, that kind of thing. They're fighting. These are like grandmoms and stuff like that on the line. So I think a lot of places will, that's just me. I mean, I don't know. You don't know. I mean, that's the thing is, I don't want to get into details because once you get into details, you're drawing resources and mind, this thought energy into specific things when you don't know what you're really dealing with. And that's my main concern too, I'm talking about. And that's, I don't know, but that's what I was going through my head. And like I said, I just want to put out ideas, whatever. I don't know. It's just my thinking. I was thinking that. I don't know. I saw the buses. I'm like, okay, what I mean? So, but then I keep going back to air power. Like you have to nullify it or achieve it, one or the other. Uh, you just got to do it, man. But yeah, right here, air superiority. If not, they must not be able to use theirs. And I don't know how much of a reality that is, to shoot down all their planes with a 500. But I think we could definitely nullify it. I mean, to a large degree. I definitely say we could achieve it in certain areas, regionally, whatever, so, or at least contest it, I'm talking about. So, I don't know. But my thinking is that, um, it's one of probably the biggest things, whoever has it's going to win. How they're, I don't know, my thinking is like, we're so stating they're going to attack, but when are they going to attack? We're going to have that meeting next week with the Russian foreign minister. Not, it's just it's totally obvious it's going to happen before then. And just some people want to like, oh, there's help, there's some kind of reason, peace is going to prevail, and we're thinking, and it's sort of the mission is resolved as as Americans, or maybe as the world being like, okay, the Americans are going to have this meeting, so they're going to piece everything out. It's just tactic stuff. That's like Militov and Rupentov, you know, uh, speaking, each bullshitting the other, I'm talking about. And if you go into the details of those, what was, exchanged, you realize that it's just all bullshit. They don't give a fuck, I mean, they just is, it's for, they're just trying to gain information off the other person, what I mean? Basically what it was. Wasn't anything to resolve peace at all. Um, and that's what it is, It's like, what can he get for staying away from a meeting? And it's probably just to rub it in our face to whatever they already attacked, I don't know. That's what it is. It's just this arrogancy of dealing with this Russia. And the thing is, I think democracies can be a lot more aggressive than any kind of dictatorship. We have a lot more brilliant minds. I'm just saying. And I mean that in a very good way. And I think an aggressive defense is what we need. And so we act like there's going to be a war. We can piece them out. If there is, we destroy them. I'm just saying. That's my thinking. I just, like, it's really difficult, to want peace but be ready for war. It defies counterintuitive. It doesn't find logic, but it's very counterintuitive, and it's difficult. You gotta be. It's just that's you need a lot of brilliant people to do it around you. Making sure you attend to all these different things because it's not the simple thing, but it's the safest thing you got to do. And I think as democracy we could do that. And to think a democracy is not cannot handle um, this aggression or any kind of aggression on a world stage is very is a misstep by Russia. And it's a misconception to anybody. Rome was a democracy for a long time. They're highly aggressive, and they conquered that whole island. And I'm going to state something even more difficult. If Augustus gave back democracy to the Republic, it wouldn't slowly deteriorate it. That's my opinion. But that's something else. What I'm talking about. So, but I think hopefully we could take some of the issues. I mean, some of the burden off of Ukraine with satellite information because they're going to move and try to achieve surprise. So it's going to be when we least expect it. So is that going to be like, during the Olympics, during the closing ceremonies, when the world is looking away? It's going to be in the middle of the night. Is it be doing a snowstorm? Is it going to be all three? No snowstorm. Is it going to be on cloud cover when satellites cannot look down at troop movements? So we need ground penetrating radar instantly given to them so they know what to do and make decisions based on that. So they know exactly when they cross and stream over the border. So I mean, that's the whole thing. Like when are they going to go? It's going to go when it's best advantageous to them. It's a state that specifically. I don't know. But I know it's going to achieve when they feel they could achieve the most. But that's so general, but I want to get into like more general aspects and anything that's said highly detailed. Way just my personal thoughts. I thought should be written down. I don't want to go too much into that. I don't want to take uh take the totality of it. I'm talking about it's like it's just I'm really hesitant. Lives are at stake. What I mean, this is like, and even I think if more Americans had this mindset, they'd be like, oh, I know everything. That's what I do specifically, so I can look smarter than anybody. And I want you to spend this. And this takes time from people who are specific experts in this. I'm talking about, but like, okay, I know what that is, and oh, okay, I get that. I'm talking. This is more of that. I'm talking about, and that kind of thing. I'm talking about, so that kind of thing. So hopefully someone could be like, oh, okay, that specific detail, I got that. I know what he's talking about. You know what I'm saying? That kind of thing. Instead of like making people like, look, saying you gotta attend to this shit, because what is that really worth? You know what I mean? Especially when all this shit is happening. I mean, and I want to say, you have to my coffee goes down because I get back to my life or whatever, but I'm just sipping my coffee now. Oh, the 3-to-1 ratio of defenses. I didn't. I actually get to that. I heard somebody state that, and that's more of I came up to in what the Napoleonic Wars, right? The Russian Prussian. Who wrote that down? Keep going to von Clausewitz. It's like my go to do that, but I'm pretty sure it's some Prussian stratagem that goes into entrenched. But honestly, I don't think that's really a play here. The only people that are really entrenched is around Donetsk or whatever, and they should actually probably they're not going to be hit probably forward, probably have a holding force forward, and they're going to be hit from behind. So, sort of like what happened at when they captured Vercingetorix, and Caesar did a counter circumvention of the town. So they probably have to make sure the trenches face out towards Ukraine and towards Russia. Um, you know what I'm talking about? So because they're going to be caught like that. That's the only one where 3-1 odds are really going to happen, and they're going to try to probably just. And if you put more troops in there, it's even more of a target because then they could just pincer around it and encircle them, and you get a good number of Ukrainians. So it's just like doubly fucked. How are you going to handle it? I don't want to specifically state. I'm not a fucking general, you know what I mean? But I know that's where the typical 3-1 ratio is, and it could held out for a while if it's properly defended, and it could defend both directions or whatever, and draw more Russian forces there to to try to take care of them. But is it worth it? I don't know. You know what I mean? So it's just like, but I know that's where 3-1 ratio would possibly come into play. That's all I'm saying. What we need to do there, I don't fucking know. I'll just outright say that. But getting back to that number, I think it's more of like a ballpark figure of 5-1 on Russia. I mean, on the Ukrainian side to fight whatever Russia is. So if you have like 100,000 or 250,000, I would say in whatever given region you would want to have, because it's a mixed force. You have the population of Ukraine fighting. Like literally just people off the street. You have, militia fighting, just a little bit more tactically trained. And then you have like regular troops, I'm talking about, right? So what you want to do is have this mixed force, professional soldiers with the militia, which is a little bit more trained, and with the populace. So it adds strength. So what happened in like World War One, when with when Pershing didn't want to give France their troops, we give them, all of our back troops or whatever, and they learned it really quickly, because they were dispersed out. So you have really um, people that know what they're doing, and then so this it gives more weight to it, So you just want to have like regular go on over here, and then have like militia and the populace, whatever, all separated. It needs to be intermixed, talking about so they learn quickly. And I think it's more of a 5-1. And more of those ones, the better, right? When you go against Russia, professional force, because that 100,000 is a professional force. So you just want to look at pure numbers, and you don't want to look at it like, that's my thinking. And I don't know. I just heard it, not general, but I know um, you definitely don't want to use like some number to that regard, talking about. So, because the thing about it is, like, some of these non-professional soldiers could find out where the enemy probed them, and then the more professional soldiers will handle that, because it's just very, dynamic thing, I'm just saying. I think it'd be okay. I don't know. I'm not going to get into that detail, but I just heard the 3-1. Um, and Ukrainian does have those numbers. They do. And they could get that and relatively quickly and push back. If anything, they'd probably be pushed back, beyond Kiev, consolidate and push back forward if it does happen. That's my thinking. Not a strategist, but definitely um, an avid historian, avid battle historian. Um, so, but I could see historically battles in Russia, a lot of land is given and then they push back. That's usually how it is. You go back to just a lot of things were fought in Russia, Mongolians, uh, Napoleon, Stalin, I mean, Hitler, I'm talking about. So this is how it is. And then certain areas will hold out, like Stalingrad, and then you formulate something, and goes back to where it was, where the exact borders were. It's just crazy. It's like so stupid. Um, I don't know. I got my feelings out. I said it out there. Um, some I hopefully it's not too much in the realms of fantasy and whatever else, but I feel a little better, how I feel about. So I don't know how many historians are out there, how many about but um, no, just make sure they put their feelings forward and see where it lands, and see what it get built up. I'm like, no, that's nonsense. Oh wait, that makes sense. Okay, well, you know what? We sort of kind of overlooked that right there. Let's make sure we attend to that kind of thing. I definitely want to have that. Um, but in short, the armor needs to be taken out, have a layered defense, satellites, instant knowing where the enemy is, very imperative communication. Now we'd love to complicate this, um, but it's about land, money, and power. And this is a little bit more than an armed robbery at gunpoint. And like I said, what's mine? Just my feelings about it, and if any of these have value, I would definitely love to be surrounded by crypto experts. It's growing technology. I know Ukraine is definitely getting into crypto speak. They legalized Bitcoin, so they're going to have it more structured. So I would definitely love those people around me and be surrounded by that type of expertise or whatever. So I could grow wealth myself. I don't want to be given money. I want to show how to make money. So it's it's more sustainable. Um, and altruistic. Like we could put more brains forward and be like, look, uh, Putin, we know what you're doing. We know you're a little bit more than a fucking mob boss trying to bully Ukraine and the world or whatever. No one's afraid. No one gives a fuck. No one gives a fuck about you. You know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm saying? For real. You don't intimidate nobody. You know what I mean? It's like for real. But you're so used to intimidating people, you think you could do this shit. And you're not the only one willing to fight. And you're gonna be, you're gonna find that out. The same. I mean, let want money. There's better ways to make it. You know what I mean? And what you're telling that the Ukrainians are you don't force your will on other people. Just don't. You know what I mean? You don't tell people how they feel. They tell you how they feel. It's as simple as that. It's very simple. And when you sit down at a table, you can get ideas across. You can learn how to resolve things. You know what I mean? But you want to sit down at a table and make a big show of a 40-foot thing. That's not sitting at a table. I mean, that's not communicating. I'm not getting anything across. You don't want to listen to nothing I say. Whatever I achieve, whatever I do, you just don't. You just want to disregard it. You know what I mean? Whatever Ukrainians do, whatever. Matter of fact, the more they achieve, the more you want it. Well, think about it, the more they achieve, the more wealth they have, more powerful the country comes economically. Maybe it should be like, oh, Ukrainians are somebody. You know what I'm talking about? Because they're going to cross a threshold where they're going to be economically more powerful than probably Russia. It's probably you are. You know what I'm talking about? Because you can't get your shit straight, and you can't become a democracy, and all the money goes to one. If all the money goes to one or a few people, it's never going to be more powerful than Russia. I mean, than Ukraine is as a democracy. You know what I'm talking about? And that's almost inevitably going to happen, even though it's smaller. You know what I mean? So I mean, it's just like it just That's all I'm saying. Many brains are always better than one. That's what I learned in life. And we are the sum total of the people around us, and who we gather. And if you tell people what to do, they're not going to give your fuel and open brilliance and creativity. They're just going to tell you what you want to hear, and that sort of gets you in this mindset you could do whatever you want to people. And when you have all these brilliant minds coming together, a lot more is achieved. And to think that we can't handle aggression, and this goes into my whole worldview, is that if a country becomes a democracy, aren't we then actually united? You know what I'm talking about? Then aren't we uniting the world? You know what I'm talking about? Because that specific democracy knows how to handle that specific region, group of people, and everything. And so you have all these different democracies figuring out how to deal with whatever issue, and then we could take those elements and apply it to ourselves instead of one huge democracy and be like, oh, we know everything. But every different one in their own little flavor of democracy, whatever, and we could just be like, they got that right. And but oh no, that's not working. You know what I'm talking about? Anyway, this is my whole worldview. But Putin, that's not Georgia. They're gonna fight. You're gonna find that out. Anyways, I'm out. Said my piece. Ukraine's gonna win. Point blank, one way or the other. I'm gonna leave it a positive connotation. How much has anything achieved through war throughout the years? Very little. There's still going to be Ukrainians no matter what happens. So how is war going to change that? Think about it. War is not going to change anything one way or the other. There's still going to be Ukrainians. All right. Peace.